Hi, Dr. David Gutman here, talking to you today about how to use SequelMed EMR to enter the assessment. The assessment is the most important part of the note. It's the formulation of what you have diagnosed. It signifies the complexity that drives the medical billing. It is the part of the note that the referring physician reads when you send them a consultation report. It's going to be the basis of the problem list, so when you see the patient in the future, you'll be able to have all their problems clearly laid out in front of you. You really want to make the assessment the part of the note that you give the most thought to. The planning you put into the assessment makes your subsequent visits easier. This is where you're going to put down that the patient has diabetes, hypertension, but it's also going to be where you put down their abnormalities that are going to need to be retained. The lung nodule on the CAT scan that you performed for another reason, the hypokalemia that you found on the most recent blood test, the anemia, previous procedures, status post-mastectomy for intraductal carcinoma. This is where you're going to be able to put in items pertinent from past medical history, from studies you've performed, from problems that you're following, as well as anything relevant that you want to keep together. And what you're going to see here is that not only does this take less time than with paper and pen, but it's more relevant, it's more useful, it's more vital. It is going to be the part of the note that really makes your work much easier. So let's begin with an open patient note. Drive over to the right of the tabs and you'll see a button that you're going to click that drops down all the sections, all the tabs that are available in that note. So you can pick the assessment section from this drop-down list, or you can just scroll over all the way to the right until you get to the tab that says Assessment. Once you've selected the assessment section, you're going to see a section that looks like this with a chief complaint, a problem list, and today's assessment. If you have a template that does not have this type of assessment section and it looks different than this section, you need to get in touch with me so we can give you the proper assessment section, because this is the one that's going to help you the most, and this is the one that's going to be adherent to the requirements of electronic health records. So in the box where it says today's assessment, right below where it says name, you'll type in just a few letters of each problem and the whole problem will appear. We've typed in COR and coronary artery disease appears with the appropriate ICD-9 code, and then we hit enter. Then we type in the first few letters of hypertension, and hypertension appears. We click enter, and the ICD-9 appears and fills in our box. We type in a few letters of diabetes, click, it's in there. We type in status post coronary artery stent, and here we run into that status post stent doesn't appear. So we're going to go to the today's assessment search box because we've entered a problem that does not appear in our quick select list. So again, if you type in a few letters and the item does not appear in the quick select list, then you go to that blank search box right under words today's assessment and type in one word and click the add button. The add button is has the appearance of a blank page with a plus sign, and it appears immediately to the right of the search box. So we type in stent and then click add to the right of that search box. So when we do that, we'll see stent appear in the name, description, and ICD, and it will search for anything that has the word stent in it. And we'll see that we want the choice cardiac stent, and we'll select that, and then we'll hit the select and close box, and here you see it appeared in our today's assessment. Now we've typed in atherosclerosis and we see it does not appear, so now we're going to type in atherosclerosis into the search box, hit add. Again, we've got a list of choices here. Now, we see that we want the choice that says 440.20, but we don't like the verbiage that they use, atherosclerosis, native artery, extremities unspecified. That's really not our language, that's their language. So we're going to create a new assessment. Now I want to point out as you look through these that some of the choices that you've been offered actually are invalid. They don't have the fifth digit that is required for this particular ICD code. If you choose one of SequelMed's choices, and you'll recognize SequelMed's choices because in the name box it will have the ICD code rather than a name, and everything's all capitalized as well. You have to look it up to make sure that it's what you want. In this case, we've selected the proper code 440.20, and we're going to hit the new box. The new box is a blank page without the plus sign. It's, in this case, it's the fifth icon over, and we're going to select it and put in the wording that we want. So the dialog box appears, and we're going to type in atherosclerotic peripheral vascular disease. It's very important that in the description you put the description that you want to appear in your note, because that's what's going to be printed. What's in the assessment just above the description is purely for search purposes, does not appear in your note. You could put in an abbreviation like ASPVD, or you can just copy the same thing that's in the description and paste it in there and have it both appear with the same wording. Then we're going to select the ICD code. We're going to just type that in to the box. And here we've put in 440.20, and then we hit save, and then we hit OK, and then we're going to hit close, and then we're going to see it in our selection box. It's going to be at the bottom because it's the newest one, and we're going to hit select and close. So now it appears the way we want it worded in our today's assessment. Now let's put in diabetic peripheral vascular disease. This has a different code than atherosclerotic peripheral vascular disease. Yes, in this diabetic patient, they're probably the same disease, but the coding is different. We want to put in the complication of diabetes, so we type in diabetic peripheral vascular disease, and we hit the add button. And we don't see a choice that we want, so we're going to hit the new button. Then we type in diabetic peripheral vascular disease. We've looked up the appropriate code, and it's 250.71, and we copy and paste the description into the assessment, and then we hit save. After hitting save, we're going to hit select and close. It's very important that you understand that it's the description that's going to appear in your note, so you want the appearance of the description to be how you like things worded. Now we'll see it in our box, and we'll hit select and close. Now after adding the assessments to the note, we're also going to want to add them to the problem list. So I told SequelMed that this was an important issue, so they added in a button called Add to Problem List. This had not previously been in the program, so now we just have to click Add to Problem List. Unfortunately, they did not add the same button on the problem list to add to today's assessment. So what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag the problem into today's assessment. When you see a patient for a follow-up visit, there's going to be a problem list, and many of these problems you're going to want to include in today's assessment. For example, you may not necessarily want to drag in the problem status post-mastectomy, but you probably will want to drag in hypertension, diabetes, and if you have something to say about the lung nodule, you may want to drag that in as well, or you may just leave it in the problem list. The problem list is going to appear in your past medical history, while the assessment is going to appear at the bottom and give you an opportunity to say what you want to say. Go to any problems that are in the problem list and click and drag them down into today's assessment. So here we have the opportunity now to put in information about each problem. You don't have to. Some people just like to list the problems in their assessment section. Other people like to say a few words. Hypertension well controlled, the coronary artery disease, the patient has stable angina, the hyperlipidemia, the LDL particle number is high, even though the LDL cholesterol is controlled. So we'll just type those in and give the information that we want to say. We've thought of another problem, low HDL. It just took 4 keystrokes. That's faster than looking up each code. And then we type in the number 35, and that way we've put in the information we wanted about the low HDL. Now you can then add to the problem list any descriptive information, status post-coronary artery stent. You can type in the date in 2008, and you can type in 2 stents in the LAD and circumflex. You can type in a coronary artery disease, no history of MI. In other words, you can be as descriptive as you wish, but you don't have to be. I hope that this was a useful presentation on the assessment and problem list. Feel free to call me at 739-4604, extension 480. And don't forget to follow us on RefluxLI on Twitter and on Facebook. And I appreciate all your support, and we'll help you out.